This is chapter 29, section 2, a relatively quick section, but it encompasses two different pieces. The first being thunder across the sea, which you see in the slide there. And then the second slide and second portion is titled A Precarious Neutrality. And so we are officially moving into World War I, which we'll be with for a while. And you guys have background information on World War I. Because you learned about it in both 9th and 10th grades. Some of this should be review. Obviously, with this being IB, we're going to add more details to it. And we will also look at other perspectives other than just the American perspective, although we are going to start with the American perspective, and we will circle back and hit specifically the Canadian impact on the war. And so to kind of set the stage, this first section, Thunder Across the Sea. In 1914, a Serbian nationalist, he was a member of a group called the Black Hand, killed the Austro-Hungarian heir to the throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. And so this guy, Gavrilo Princip, killed the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, which made them angry with the Serbians. And so what you have then is a domino effect of alliances. And you should have learned about World War I, there are four main causes, and I say main, it's an acronym. Militarism, so you've got the buildup of militaries. Alliances, you have the alliance system, which is what we're going to highlight there in the second bullet point. Imperialism, which we've already discussed in this class, and then nationalism, and so kind of that idea of extreme pride in one's country. And so those are the four main causes of World War I. So visiting that second cause, the idea of alliances, there was a domino effect where Austria declared war on Serbia for the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Serbia was supported by Russia, so they step in on behalf of Serbia and declare war on Austria-Hungary, and also Germany, because Germany is an ally with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And so Germany, in response, declares war on Russia. They also preemptively declare war on France and actually attack France through neutral Belgium. They attack France because they don't want to be fighting on two fronts, and they feel like they're going to be fighting the Russians. And so Germany invades France through neutral Belgium, which pulls France and Belgium into the fray. And then because Great Britain is allies with France, Great Britain now steps in on France's behalf. Meanwhile, the Americans are sitting across the Atlantic Ocean, just happy that we are separated by the Atlantic Ocean. Your textbook describes it as basically an ocean moat. So we're separate from it, we're going to stay over here. And so this all takes place in 1914. Most of that should have been stuff that you have learned before. And while I know it's kind of convoluted, that second bullet point is important to know just how all of these different countries got involved. And later this year, we'll confuse it even more when we look at World War II, which involves a lot of the same characters, but some different roles in that conflict. So that was the first portion of reading. The second portion of reading was over the United States and our neutrality. So Woodrow Wilson, at this point in 1914, his wife has just passed away. And when we examine history and presidents and those types of things, it isn't, and we'll talk about this a little bit at different points in this class, but it is important to remember that these are people. And so, things that we maybe don't necessarily consider having a huge historical impact because they impact these individuals' personal lives, they can impact the decisions and ways in which they react. So Woodrow Wilson, his wife, has recently passed. He issues a neutrality proclamation saying that the United States is not involved in this conflict. However, both the Allies, specifically the British, and the Germans and Austro-Hungarians think that we are going to join in on their side. The British, because of our kind of common heritage, language, linguistics, your textbook points out, think that will be on their side. The Germans and Austro-Hungarians think that they might be able to woo us because of a lot of immigrants to the United States have direct ties to Germany and Austria-Hungary. However, the U.S. is mostly anti-German from the beginning of the war, in large part because of the German leader, Kaiser Wilhelm II. He was very much kind of an old school autocrat, and was very easy for the democracy-loving Americans to hate. You also had a few events, and there will be more, but this section presented an event where you had a German spy attempting to sabotage an American factory, and he left plans for this in an elevator that was then discovered and published and pushed the Americans away from, even more so than away from the German side. And so you had several kind of instances of similar types of sabotage and deception taking place within the United States. And so that's where we'll leave it there for chapter 29, section 2.